Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, the 31st of March, 2024. Well done on making it this far. 2025. Jesus Christ, I'm a year out. Welcome. It is Monday, the 31st of March, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big up to the chat. We've got Saz in there. We've got Scott. We've got Reagan Elite. We have got Veg Pie. We have got, who else have we got in there? We've got Diz. We've got Alistair. We've got all these really lovely, cool people. Colin says, morning, it's not 8 o'clock. Oh my God, Colin, is it not? I hope it's 9, because 9's the time when we start the show. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, all you have to do is press the subscribe button and wait for about 30 seconds, and you'll be able to add your own opining into the chat. So today we're going to be talking about the technocracy movement. The technocracy movement. So there was a guy who was born in 1902 called Joshua Norman Haldeman. And he was a wealthy Canadian chiropractor. Now, I don't know if any of you watching this had any dealings or reading about the fact that various scientists, popular scientists, were actually sued by chiropractors. This is about 15 years ago for saying that, it's a bit bollocks. Do you know what I mean? Saying it's not a cure-all, mate. It can't actually cure your cancer. You can't go and get a back rub and then your cancer's cured. And there's a bit of suspicion about chiropractic around the medical profession, where people actually go to medical school and they actually learn how to be a doctor. They sort of look a little bit sideways at people who claim to be able to, cure your rheumatoid arthritis with, by clicking your bones and that. It doesn't really work that way. But, that set me off on the wrong foot, learning about that. Let me tell you about Joshua. He was also a pilot and he was also a political activist. He liked his planes and he liked his political activism. From 1936 to 1941, he served as the director of the Technocracy Technocracy Incorporated, because it had to be a company, of course, in Canada, a fringe but vocal movement advocating rule by engineers and scientists. Haldeman was jailed in 1940 by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police during World War II, accused of leading an illegal organisation after Technocracy Incorporated was banned in Canada because of its anti-democratic and pro-Nazi sympathies. Why am I telling you about this guy? Joshua Haldeman? Never heard of him. Just some guy, he believed in the 1930s that we should all live under the yoke of science and technology and stuff, and that'll make things work better than having, democracy. Anyway, so he was jailed. After the war, he moved his family, including his daughter May, to South Africa, where in 1971, his daughter gave birth to a twat called Elon Musk. Haldeman died in a plane crash 2 years later, but Musk has spoken highly of his grandfather, and it's just worth, I know, you're not responsible for the sins of your fathers and that, but the thing is, right, at the end of the day, there are some startling similarities. Let's talk about the technocracy movement. Its core belief was that democracy is inefficient. Inefficient. God, if only there was some kind of department of governmental efficiency that could save us from all this inefficiency. Oh my God. Do you know what? Just a little bit of an aside. Do you know what? Life is inefficient. What is this all about? Maximizing efficiency with everything. It's bullshit. If it was really important for us all to be dead efficient, there wouldn't be soap operas. Do you know what I mean? There'd be no dancing. There'd be no singing. There'd be no having a good time because it's not efficient. You look at Musk and he's never sat down in a pub with his mates and had a nice afternoon. Do you know what I mean? He's never done that. because he wouldn't regard it as an efficient use of his time. Just he's never had a picnic, has he? You can tell by looking at him. It looks like he hardly goes outside, to be honest with you. But he can't appreciate the normal things in life because his brain's just not wired that way. Anyway, so the technocracy movement. It was this belief that the economy and society should be run by technical experts, engineers and scientists, not politicians or business people. Somewhat ironic, but there you go. The term was coined in 1919, over 100 years ago, by an engineer. Funny that. It is interesting though, isn't it? Like you talk to a teacher, like, oh yeah, teachers should run everything. And if you talk to a podcaster or a YouTuber, it's like, oh yeah, the YouTubers, they should be in charge, definitely. And I'm like, no. I just cards on the table. I think it should be a mix of people from all walks of life. There shouldn't be just like one select group that gets to run everything. That's why it pisses me off so much that the private school mafia run everything. It feels to me like a select group of people get to do all the cool jobs, all the well-paid jobs, get to make all the decisions in your life. And you don't get much say in it because you went to a state school, you dickhead. Well, I've got some advice for you. Why don't you have a dad who's a millionaire? Yeah. Right, if you want to get into acting, right, here's my advice, right? Have Phil Collins be your dad. Have Keith Allen be your dad. That's how you get into acting. Have Arnold Schwarzenegger be your dad. Yeah. Anyway, so it was coined by this engineer, and the term technocracy basically means rule by experts. And it was inspired by Thorstein Veblen's book, The Engineers and the Price System. It gained traction during the Great Depression, which when traditional capitalism and democracy seemed to be failing. The founder of the Technical Alliance in 1919 and Technocracy Incorporated in 1933 was a guy called Howard Scott. He envisaged a new system of government called a technate, a continent-wide society ruled by experts using energy-based accounting. Yeah, this all sounds a little bit like woo. Hold on, right? Because it's coming. It's coming. They wanted to abolish money. What, like have cryptocurrency instead? They wanted to abolish markets and, most pertinent for what we're discussing this morning, they wanted to abolish elected governments. They wanted to get rid of elected. That was their vision. They didn't want elected governments. They would replace them with energy certificates. I'm not making this up. Each citizen would receive equal rations of resources measured in joules, or ergs. So it was essentially communism. These were techno-fascist communists who wanted everyone to be the same, except the people who ran the place, who would be ridiculously wealthy. And here's a really disturbing part of the technate. It would comprise of not just the USA and Canada, no, but also Mexico, the 7 Central American states, and Greenland. So yes, the technate would stretch all the way from Panama to the Arctic. Sound familiar? Panama Canal? Greenland? Arctic? Yeah? Do you get me now? Do you think someone might be feeding Trump stuff into his head to go, oh yeah, we need Greenland for some reason? I don't know why. We just seem to need it. Very, very interesting. By interesting, I mean fucking terrifying. But let's move on. So the technocrats, right? The technocratic features. They have this the thing about having a uniform grey attire. That was their thing. Grey suits, grey cars, grey buses, kind of stuff that I hate. You know, I say bring back colour. Bring back colour. Members wore monad badges saluting Howard Scott and followed a rigid organizational hierarchy. And they promoted what they call continental hydrology, a plan to interlink North America's rivers and lakes for power and transport. So it was all these kind of like big ideas, big sci-fi ideas, brought together with this kind of idea that the only people in charge should be the engineers, the scientists, and that no one else should be able to get a word in edgeways, and that all human endeavor was just measured in how much energy they produced or something, which would be really shit if you were a doctor and patients kept dying, as they often do when you're a doctor, especially if you're working in A&E. Be like, oh, well, you all that energy in that human's gone now, so actually we're going to pay you nothing today. You're going to get nothing. Whereas, someone who sits there turning a crank producing electricity, it's like, oh, well, they're producing some electricity, so we'll give them some credits. I don't know. They wanted to get rid of money. They advocated a central control of all production and distribution. They proposed a 4 days on, 3 days off work cycle with 4-hour shifts to maximize industrial uptime. And they urged total digitalization of society using an early concept of computer-aided social management system, a precursor to modern surveillance capitalism. Like, they'll just keep an eye on you all the time to make sure that you were being productive every day and you weren't swinging the lead, you weren't malingering, you weren't being lazy, you weren't being inefficient. Because if one thing that humans shouldn't be, it's inefficient. No more picnics. No more afternoons down the pub with your mates. No more footy matches. They're inefficient, No more fun. You're just born, you work, you die. Like a little drone, like a little ant drone. This is the future that Elon Musk and his ilk want, okay? They want you to be a little fucking... Are you a little drone? No. Well, tell Elon Musk to fuck the fuck off then at every fucking opportunity. So, let's go on. So, technocracy, ruled by experts, based on scientific data, no political parties, no money, energy accounting, they called it, and redistribution based on need. Whereas in democracy, you have ruled by elected officials based on public opinion, multi-party systems, price system and markets, and we have distribution based on the ability to pay. Now, I mean, distribution on the ability based on need, I kind of like that bit of it, but the rest of it can go to hell because you need to have democracies. And yes, democracies are not perfect, and that's why they wind up certain people who have a certain mentality. It really pisses them off because they're like, oh, I can't get my head around why this isn't perfect. It's not perfect because it's a reflection of us, squishy little humans, and squishy little humans are not perfect. We don't work to a perfect mathematical formula. We just don't. We're weird and spontaneous, and we do daft shit. We do clever shit. We do all kinds of shit. We're humans. That's what the human experience is. But to say, oh, well, you need to be more efficient all the time, or I'm watching you, and you've got to check your punch card to make sure that you're actually in work and doing work all the time. And it's just like, it's not realistic. It's a sci-fi fantasy from a fascistic age. Technocrats viewed politicians, business leaders, and financiers as parasites and incompetents. They believed only technical experts could manage the complexity of modern life. The movement exploded in popularity between 1932 and 1933, at the height of the Great Depression, when Hitler was, getting into power in Germany. Public backlash came quickly after Howard Scott's disastrous 1933 radio address, which was widely ridiculed. Technocracy Incorporated was investigated and condemned by the American Engineering Council. So all these engineers got together and said, we want nothing to do with these people. They're nothing to do with us. And the movement fractured into splinter groups and lost momentum during the rise of Roosevelt's New Deal. Still, Technocracy Inc. continued to exist on the fringes, even publishing newsletters as late as 2021, apparently. So I've been told. It was banned in Canada in 1940 due to wartime concerns, and the ban was lifted in 1943. It inspired fringe groups in Germany, Soviet Russia, and Chile, of all places. And in 1973, Chile, under Princess Allende, attempted a version of technocracy called Project Cybersyn. And this is before the Pinochet coup on September the 11th, 1973. Big date in Chilean history. And if you go to Chile, there's a road in the capital, Santiago, called September the 11th Boulevard, something or Avenue or road or something. It's a bit like, oh, okay, this is a different one. Okay, different one. So it looks like in 2025, Musk is definitely trying to resurrect some parts, if not all, of this idea of technocracy. He wants to build a technocracy on Mars using engineers to govern instead of politicians. He's already said that. He leads DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, downsizing the US federal workforce. He promotes centralized data control, which is very similar to the concepts of 100 years ago, AI governance, and the use of brain chips via Neuralink, which is incredibly disturbing. The same people who were freaking out that the COVID vaccine was going to give them microchips that would create 5G, solar, Jewish space lasers, something, I don't know. Yeah, just it's a bit, yeah, the same people are like, oh, but I love the way that Elon Musk puts chips in people's heads. I want one. Can I have one of those chips, Elon? Elon Musk also frequently praises his grandfather, Joshua Helman, and shares technocracy style ideas on Shitter, his social media platform that he bought and ruined. Doge's logo mimics a 14-tooth Nazi gear symbol. This is a concerning parallel with, the Nazis and the technocrats and putting it all together. Trump's mass firings of government workers replaced by young engineers resembles Technocracy's engineering takeover plan. Doge has access to private data of millions of Americans, right? And also maybe people who aren't even American. He might have access to my data because working on this channel, I have to submit a thing each year to the American government, to the Inland Revenue over there, saying that I don't work in America. I have to declare that along with my NI number and also my home address and all that kind of stuff, which he probably has now. He has access to the private data of millions. He advocates efficiency at all costs, often bypassing democratic institutions and oversight. And dodgy staff includes people like Edward Coverstein, aka Big Balls, a 19-year-old ex-Neuralink coder who is now somehow advising Homeland Security. If it looks like a coup, and it quacks like a Q, and it waddles like a coup, it's probably a coup. Young Umka, first super chat of the week. Thank you very much, Umka. Woo! Let's hear it in the house for Umka. Yeah. There was a tech website about the Silicon Valley technocrats' mentality and plans called the Nerd Reich. I like the Nerd Reich. It's very funny. Thank you very much for the €5, Umka. That's very helpful. Thank you. Expert warning. So we've had Tom Valovic, who's a Congress advisor, who's saying Musk is leading a new technocratic regime in plain sight. With Steve Bannon, the disgusting, gruesome slug man who was a Trump advisor, probably still is. We've handed the nation over to atheist Dungeons and Dragons nerds chasing eternal life. That's what he said. Well, he did it. He helped. Well done, dickhead. You got New Yorker calling Musk's project techno-fascism, which I think it is. And The Atlantic has called it the dictatorship of the engineer. The OECD and economists fear US collapse under Musk-Trump's anti-democratic policies. So Elon Musk's ideological roots date back to, his maternal grandfather, who was absolutely, balls deep in this idea, in this concept of having a technocracy. And there's a 1930s map, mentioned this idea of the technate, which would run all the way from the Panama Canal, Panama, all the way up to the North Pole. There's a map that was circulated in 1933, and this 1930s map has gone viral since then because it shows all the area of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, Mexico, US, Canada, and Greenland, all in red. Like, this is the technate. And Trump's been calling for the annexation of Canada, Greenland, and Panama, matching the 1933 technate borders. And searches for technate and technocracy are on Google at the highest ever recorded level. And we've got, not just sort of pundits and people like that, but you've also got, we've got people in Congress pointing out that Musk seems to be using personal data for private enrichment. We've got Wired magazine reporting that Musk is trying to centralize a master database of all American citizens, all Americans, whether they're a citizen or not, all people in America. And this data is going to be used to harm people. It's going to be used to declare whether they are efficient or not, because that's all that matters in Musk's brain. Musk suffers from a condition that means that he's a sociopath. That's basically his mental health condition. He might hide behind autism, but he's a sociopath. He doesn't feel emotions in the same way that you and I do. He's got no empathy. He's got no understanding of anyone's plight but his own. I mean, he's got loads of sympathy for himself, but he's got no sympathy for anyone else. The same things, the same emotions that drive the rest of us, compassion and love, he has no idea what those things are. He just sees things he can take and things he can gain, and that's what all that motivates him. He wants control, absolute control. Techno-feudalism, and this idea that Musk. Let's have a look. He's I don't know if you know this, but he sold Twitter last week. He sold it to his own company for like $45 billion. Yeah, I know. He owns 54% of Grok. This is the AI company integrated into DOGE's operations. There are fears he's using government data to train Grok to give it superpowers, give his AI the edge that no other AI has, information about literally every citizen in the country. And his online posts include things like Stalin, Mao, and Hitler didn't kill millions; their public sector employees did, which is disturbing. Yeah. But in his massive the federal databases that he's gone into, they've got social security numbers, medical and psychological records, family histories, income, and employment history. He's going to decide who is efficient and who is not. We could start living in a very, or at least the Americans will start living in a very, very sci-fi, Philip K. Dick style utopia where people are measured on their efficiency. And what do you think is going to happen to people if they're deemed inefficient? Fascistic regimes in the past have sterilized men and women. They have murdered them wholesale. In North Korea, if you commit a crime, they'll also kill your children as well. They will wait for a baby to be born and then kill the baby. This is what they do in North Korea because they believe that criminality runs in the genes. So if they get rid of all the people related to that subversive person, then they can eradicate the genes. The same kind of pop science, this ridiculous sci-fi concepts that dickheads all around the world have about how things work. The kind of people who get to, pontificate on fucking, I don't know, the Joe Rogan show where they go on and talk absolute bollocks. And I know that he sometimes occasionally has a real scientist on there to try and balance the book somehow, but mostly it's just pseudo-science. And once people start going down that rabbit hole of pseudo-science and conspiracy theories and this is the way it should be, and these little shitty dickhead teenage fantasies about, well, if I ruled the world, this is what would happen. If you ruled the world, it'd be shit. You don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. No one knows what we're doing. This is humanity. This is the way it goes. No one's got a grand plan. No one's got something that fucking works. Give me one country in the world that absolutely works. Okay? One that just has no problems whatsoever. One that doesn't have murder or rape or incest or people, robbing each other or, carjackings or muggings or motor accidents in which people die, or cliffs that people fall off. What do you want? There'll never be a perfect world. But we can try to make the one that we live in better, rather than going, oh, well, we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater and start again. We should be concentrating right now on a war footing with fighting climate change, with bringing down the carbon, the amount of carbon that we're pumping into the atmosphere, the amount of energy we are pumping into the atmosphere every year, which keeps increasing even though we are overloaded with energy in the atmosphere, and it could start triggering these tipping points, at which point, like, there's no going back. There's no going back. Entire ecosystems will change overnight. The deserts will grow. The deserts of the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn will grow. We're already seeing the desertification of the Sahel region of Africa. It's just going to get worse. And if you think, oh, it's all right, because then it'll be sunnier up in Norway and we can grow wine in Norway, the soil isn't good quality down or up there. What are you going to do? And there's only a limited amount of nitrates left because we've been digging it all up for hundreds of years and using it as fertilizer and explosives. I mean, just it's very frustrating when idiots who have got who are very, very narcissistic, they think that they know all the answers. You've met people like this, people who think they know how to do everything. They think they've got the answers to everything. They're really, really fucking annoying people, to be honest with you. I'd rather not have anything to do with them. The people who want to lean over and go, oh, you're doing it wrong. Oh, you're doing it. What you want to do is this. What you want to do is that. And it's like, fuck off. You don't know everything. It's fine. It's okay. Get over your ego. We don't all know absolutely everything. We don't all walk around making no mistake ever. And going, yeah, I know what's best for mankind. What we should do is X, Y, Z. Because you don't know if it's going to work. I don't think it's not been tried everywhere. It's like these people who go, oh, if we had this person in charge, it'll all be great. And I'm like, you're fucking mad, aren't you? I mean, it might be better in some respects, but in other respects it'll be worse. Because it will be. Because that's humanity. There's no one that we should put on a pedestal. I did a whole thing yesterday about the dangers of putting people on fucking pedestals. But, like, there's no one out there who's going to swoop in to save the fucking world. It's a childish, juvenile idea of a superhero who's going to, have a fucking magic suit that's going to come along and stop everyone being horrible. It's just not going to happen. But we can fight against it. We can fight against domestic violence. We can fight against people killing each other. We can make it very, very difficult to do these things. But it steps in the right direction. But here's the thing. We're never going to reach utopia. It doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. Even in a utopia, it wouldn't be utopia. Because not everyone in that utopia will be happy. I don't know if I would be happy sitting on a cloud playing a harp for the next billion years. I think I'd go out my fucking mind, to be honest with you. But that's what some people think of as utopia. It's not what I think of as utopia. Why isn't everything perfect? I know, I'll put all my faith in this one person who says they're going to make everything perfect. I hope they're not a con man. So yeah, this is just what I wanted to talk about this morning. Trump's right-hand man, or rather President Musk, if you want to call him that, who has wormed himself into the higher echelons of the US government and is running around now, seemingly to make this technocratic dictatorship of, that was imagined by his maternal grandfather, making an actual reality of it 100 years later. DOGE has already laid off 100,000 federal workers. That's 100,000 families now. 100,000 families. Some of them will have lost their homes. Some of them will be going into sheltered accommodation as a result of this. I mean, not all, but there will be some. And this is going to save the American economy? No, it's not. They're trying clearly to destroy the American economy. That's what Trump's trying to do with his tariffs this week. He's doing on April the 5th, I think it is. There's going to be all these tariffs coming in, and all it's going to do is damage the American economy more. We've discussed this often on this channel about how it does very much look like this is an inside job. You know, they're doing it on purpose to try and wreck everything for everybody else. Because the disaster capitalism is very, very profitable for the super wealthy. Look at how much money they made out of destroying Iraq. Look how much money they made out of the credit crunch. Look at the amount of money they made during COVID, during the worldwide pandemic. Billionaires doubled their money. They doubled it, more than doubled it. Their profits went through the fucking roof. And we're all stuck using their technology all of the time. And I think there needs to be a movement away from it. This is ironic, me being online and saying, you know, on a streaming video, on a platform, I think we need to touch grass more. But I think we really do. I think we need to have some kind of movement that moves away from this, not in a Luddite way, but in a way of going, we will use technology where it's useful, and we will remove technology from our lives where it is encroaching on our mental and, you know, physical well-being, which it is at the moment, being on call 24 hours a fucking day. Why haven't you got back to me? Say people, and it's like I've got. Let's count all the ways that people can get in touch with you. So you got here. Oh wow! Well, thank you, Yorosh. Hey, €20 super chat there. Democracy is the amateur voting the most charismatic candidate with the best promises in power. We don't need a better system. We need accountability and consequences for the ones in power. Yeah, Yorosh, you're absolutely right. It's ridiculous to think that another system's going to work better than this, and there's lots of different forms of democracy. There are lots and lots of different forms of democracy. Yeah, so you can get in touch here. You can leave a comment. You can get in touch with me through Discord, through my website, which I've got at least 4 that you've got contact forms on. You can get in touch with me via email. I've got several different email addresses. MySpace, Facebook, Threads. I suppose you could try and get in touch with me on Shitter, but I've been banned for a while. Well, not suspended, and I can't be asked arguing against it. But it's the you can get in touch with me through Blue Sky, through WhatsApp, through Signal, through Telegram. Do you know what I mean? Like back in the 90s when you had doctors who were like frazzled all the time because they were on call and the pager kept beeping and they had to go and sort out another patient. Like, you looked at that and you went, oh, God, I wouldn't like to live like that. That looks really stressful, but that's the world we're living in right now. And when people leave you a message, someone can call me as well on my phone at any time of the day or night. People can call on your phone. And text on the phone. God, there must be about 20 different ways to contact me 24/7. But like, if someone calls you now without texting you first and saying, hey, can I give you a quick call? Is this just me, or do you think that someone's died? Like, is that your first instinct? I got a call, like it would have been 5 years ago now, from one of my friends who hadn't called me probably for about 10 years. And he called me on my phone. And as soon as I saw his name appear on my phone, I thought, fuck, someone's died. And they had. Because that's the only reason people call each other these days. So if you call someone for no reason, or just that you want to chat and you don't text them first saying, hey, you want to chat, their first instinct might be, as mine was, oh, fuck, someone's died. So maybe don't do it. I don't know. And maybe when you text people, don't demand an immediate response. Facebook Messenger, Facebook comments. I mean, all those social media things I said, like, it's not just that. They've got a messenger app inside them, but also people can respond to stuff that you've written. And it's like, oh, you haven't got back to me. And I'm like, hey, there's not enough hours in the day. But also there's that fact that, like, if you do stuff on the internet, people feel empowered to say, are you doing it wrong? Which I fucking love. I like, the idea that I'm doing this wrong. It's like, well, it works for the people watching this. I mean, it's not making me millions or anything, but I mean, if you as a critic would like to make your own video and tell us what you think, and tell us what you've learned about the world today, share that with us. I'll go on your video and call you a prick. Because that's what you did to me. Oh, no, you're not going to do that. No, because you're an anonymous account. Okay. Probably not even real. A post. People can post letters to you, postcards, parcels. You can't get away. You can't get away. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in. Reagan Elite says, subscribe to join the chat. Like to be lovely. Super chat to be awesome. Oh, thank you, Reagan Elite. I like the way you put that. If you do want to give this a bit of a like, that would be boss at the moment. Just while we're having a little bit of a read through the messages, just give it a quick like. Just, we like a like. Jez Hunt, what America isn't realizing yet, they're not getting any of that stuff back. It's gone, and it will have damaged the country permanently, just like austerity here. True. What happened to all the political parody? The Ian Duncan Smiths used to be hilarious, but since Bojo claimed bullying, I haven't seen much. I see Politics Joe does some. I guess the world is now a parody. Yeah. But, Sonic, you've got to pity the satirists of today, because some of the stuff that's happening right now, if Amano Ranucci did a bit of, the thick of it, where the top military chiefs accidentally added a Russian spy to their group chat, that's too ridiculous. That's just too daft. I'm not saying the guy from the Atlantic's a Russian spy, but I'm saying it's the equivalent. Alan Jackson, if I made some content, feel free to call me. Chances are it's true, says Alan. No, don't say that about yourself, Alan. I'm just talking about people who are trolls. Like, they never make any content of themselves. It always reminds me of one of my favourite clips from Room 101, and it was the comedian Marcus Brigstock, and he said he wanted to put critics in Room 101. And the presenter, I think it might have been still Hancock at the time. I don't know. Or it might have been Merton. I don't know. I think it was one of the early ones. It might have been the Brummy guy, Frank Skinner. Anyway, he said, "Oh, that's a bit harsh. Do you not like criticism? Isn't constructive criticism good?" And he's like, "Yeah, but imagine you die, you go to like the pearly gates, and you're standing there. Like St. Peter goes, oh, what did you do with your life? What did you make? What did you create?" It's like, oh, I didn't create anything. I just looked at what other people created and went, that's a bit shit. I'm like, it's got a point. Constructive criticism that I like on this channel is if my mic level's too high, or, the exposure's wrong or something like that, something technical that I can fix. That's constructive criticism. And also like ideas for ways that we can make the channel better. But just writing like, you're a soy boy cook prick. I'm like, that's not constructive. It's not constructive at all. I'm just going to insult your mother and then block you forever. And they're like, oh, they blocked me. And I'm like, yes, I blocked you. This is like my little realm here, right? Why would I invite someone into my back garden while I'm sitting there, fucking sunbathe? I don't sunbathe because I'm ginger, but imagine I'm sunbathing in my back garden and like someone starts shouting through the fence, "Oi, not bad." And I'm supposed to go, "Oh, it's all right, mate. You just keep shouting. That's fine. I have the opportunity to block you, so I can't hear you shouting knobhead anymore." No. I put some earplugs in. Can't hear you shouting knobhead at me. "Oh, no, you're that means I've won." I'm like, I just don't think so. I just don't want you anywhere near me. And the idea that we live in a bubble. We live in a bubble. No, mate. I went to a state school. Some of my really good mates, like working class. My mum's side of the family, working class. Like, I'm not saying that I'm working class by any stretch of the imagination. I am very, very middle class. But at the same time, like, I've mingled with people from all social stratas. Unlike someone like Rishi Sunak, who makes a joke, goes, I've got friends who are upper class, friends who are upper middle class, and friends who are working class. No, I don't mean working class. I don't talk to the plebs. Yeah. Good rounded education you got there, mate, in your posh private school, Winchester. Critics are often awful at creating. Gammon, critical drinker, made a short film and it's absolutely dire. Nothing interesting or nothing original or interesting. Total dross. Talentless hack, says Jez Hunt. Didn't Siskel or Ebert write a movie in the 1970s? Didn't they write like a shit movie? It wasn't like really schlocky Roger Corman. Someone look this up. Someone look up what movie Roger Ebert or Gene Siskel or whatever his name is. Well, Ebert, Siskel and Ebert, isn't it? The American critics. One of them made, or at least wrote a movie. Someone find out what it was and put it in the chat, please. You Google. Let me Google that for you, Graham, says someone. One Angry Pagan says, you would be surprised at just how much social evolution mirrors biological evolution, radiating out and diversifying a massive neural trial and error experiment. Yeah, One Angry Pagan, that's why Richard Dawkins, who's unfortunately turned into a problematic turf, he in the 1970s, he coined the term meme, which didn't used to mean what we think of as a meme, which is a funny picture on the internet. It actually meant a unit of information which could be passed from generation to generation or sideways between a group. So this has informed evolution over the years. And an example could be, we don't know, but it could be the fact that New World monkeys have a prehensile, is that how you pronounce it? Tail, a tail that they can grip stuff with. They can put their tail around a branch, and then they can, use it as a fifth limb, effectively. Now, old world monkeys can't do that. So at some point, it might have been that the sexual selection or natural selection tended towards this idea that, certain monkeys had seen another monkey see monkey do, using their tail to get around a little bit, proto monkeys. And then they continued to do that over millennia, over millions of years, and eventually got to the point where they effectively used their tail as a fifth limb. Could that have been a meme that turned into an actual genetic change? Could be. But when we talk about cultural information for humans, I mean, this is the idea that, you pass down information through history. And something that I put a post out about this yesterday. It's kind of frustrating as a historian. So I studied history and politics at uni, right? But I find it really frustrating that if you look at sort of science, innovation, engineering, it all grows from what's been learned before. Right, so every time you make a car, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has already been invented. You can build off that. But with politics, it is the same fucking unfunny, shit, tragic sitcom over and over and over again, remade endlessly, just with different actors. So the same problems we are having with autocrats, with fascists, with Nazis, with dictators, with tyrants, they were having 4, 5, 6 millennia ago in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in Persia. They were having these same problems in politics. Think of ancient Rome. Think of ancient Greece. Think of the power struggles that went on. The coup d'etats. The political assassinations. Nothing is new when it comes to politics. When we don't build on what's been gone before. And we're going back to fucking Nazism now. Even though it was an ideology that ended up killing over 50 million fucking people. And it failed. It didn't make Germany great. In fact, it split Germany in two for the best part of 40 fucking years. What? So 45 years. 45 years Germany was split in two. Yeah, great. Well done. That was the prize that Germany got for winning the war. And the poor bastards in East Germany living under the yoke of the Soviet Union, the Muscovites. Yeah, good luck with that. And they're all the ones voting for the fucking AfD. They're like, oh yeah, I liked it when, the Stasi were going around, rounding people up, murdering children in front of their families. Let's go back to them. I vote AfD. And you're like, fucking hell. It is. It's a really bad sitcom that just keeps getting remade and remade. Whereas science, you don't have to draw a fucking map of the solar system to use the James Webb telescope. Do you know what I mean? We know that it's a heliocentric solar system. We don't have to learn that fact again every time we look through a fucking telescope. We build on what we already know, on the knowledge we've accumulated over thousands of years, except when it comes to biology. Sorry, biology. But except when it comes to, well, that's interesting. I might mention that. Except when it comes to politics, we just don't build on what's been before. We just don't do it. And I was going to mention biology because with biology, you can only do what you've got. You can only do stuff. Evolution can only do stuff with what it's already got, which is why humans are a bit weird. Like our eyes aren't as good as octopuses. We have an appendix. Like it's a ridiculous thing that kills humans. It's not taken out because your appendix bursts and that's it. You're a goner. There's so many daft things about humans. There's the nerve, isn't there, in your neck that the nerve that goes to your larynx goes underneath your rib cage and back up. It goes right the back of your neck all the way down here, up your rib cage and back up. It's about like 3 foot of unnecessary cabling, which is a lot. But if you're a giraffe, because all mammals have this, their nerve for their larynx goes all the way from their brain down their incredibly long neck, around their rib cage, and then back up to the fucking larynx. I mean, yeah, a bit weird. Anyway, orcas have been documented having different languages, accents, and dialects depending on where in the world they are. Chimps also have basic proto-cultures too. Yeah, chimps share memes. It looks like they share cultural information. So you'll have tribes or groups of chimps that is it a troop? Is it a troop of chimps? Is it? I don't know what the collective noun is, but you have a group of chimps, and they'll have a technology. Not like use a tool or something. Orangutans have been cited using fucking spears to try and spear fish in bits of wood to try and get fish in Borneo. So nothing new under the sun, but there you go. John says, bloody Firefox crashing again. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. That was a movie, wasn't it? With was it Clint Eastwood in the 1980s? He flew a jet plane called Firefox. And there's a sequel called Firefox Down. I don't know if it was a book or they made a film of it. Let's go over to the papers. Talking of being in a bubble, let's find out what the papers are saying. We've got Harry Netflix demand wrecked charity event. This is about Harry and Meghan. Prince Harry derailed a fundraiser for a charity he founded, announcing he would turn up with a TV crew. The bastard. I don't really care. Ben Fogel, the naked truth about my sauna habit. Ben Fogel, who's stayed on Ginger Island, actually, before it was Ginger Island. Also privately educated, of course. That's why he's allowed to be on the front cover of a newspaper. Police tried to curtail democracy in school WhatsApp row. Hertfordshire police risked curtailing democracy, a Tory MP said, after the force indicated he could be treated as a harassment suspect for helping parents under investigation over a school dispute. Breaking news. And there's Luke Skywalker here with his sword. No, it's Richard Chamberlain, who died. And he was in the TV show Shogun, the 1970s, early 80s version, which is okay. It's got Tommy Mifune in, who I love, so that's a good thing. But I really, really did like the new version of Shogun. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was really, really good. Really pulled you into the whole life style of people in feudal Japan. It looked amazing. I'm halfway through 300 Years of Solitude. 300 years? What the hell's wrong with me? 100 years. I'm not saying the right words this morning. I don't think my brain's quite engaged. 100 Years of Solitude. The TV series of that I'm really enjoying as well because it's very immersive. I love shows that really take you into another time, another place that you're not familiar with. I like it. Harry is accused of cover-up by scandal-hit charity boss. The Duke of Sussex was involved in the cover-up of a whistleblowing complaint at his African charity, according to its head, who was accused of trying to eject her through bullying. Well, something's gone down there. Something's gone wrong there, isn't it? Anti-terror tactics to stop people smugglers. Global arm, a CPS, aims to curb record crossings. Maybe you could make safe routes for getting into the UK as an asylum seeker. Maybe you could do that and then no one would have to make those crossings. What bollocks have we got on the Daily Mail today? Our son and daughter were born 4 months apart. Here's how. Okay. Harry tried to make charity boss defend Meghan. Centre ballet, I don't know. I don't know how you pronounce it. Chairman blasts Sussexes over polo match fiasco. I so don't care. Fraser and his British wife planning row with villagers. Well, he's a big fucking trumper, so he can fuck off. How to train a grumpy cat to be more sociable in The Guardian. Okay. Art on prescription, a tool for mental health. Yes. Yes, yes, all day long. Absolutely. And I'll say this because I know I say this over and over again, right? But here's the thing, right? When we have mental health problems, everyone's brain is different. And what works for one person might not work for another person. If art therapy works for some people, fucking brilliant. Go with God. Like, use it and use it to make yourself feel better. But that doesn't mean that other treatments aren't effective. It doesn't mean we should shame people who find different routes to equilibrium. And it really pisses me off when we see that, when we see stupid memes on Facebook saying, oh, this is the way to deal with this particular mental health problem, because we're all different. All our brains are different. They work differently. We need different things that work with different people. But yeah, art therapy, all for it. Anyway, Trump launches very angry outburst at Putin over Ukraine. US president threatens tariffs against Russia and the bombing of Iran. Okay, whatever. Harry's charity chair hits back with claim Prince was bullying at scale. God, the papers are having a field day with this, aren't they? And Myanmar is Asia's worst disaster in 100 years. This is the awful story of the earthquake that hit on Friday. It's centered in Myanmar, Burma, and its effects were felt 1,000 miles away in Thailand, in Laos, in China, and buildings have collapsed. 1,700 people have been killed. That number might go up. The time for being able to rescue survivors from the rubble is diminishing every day, every hour now. It's been 3 days. It's absolutely horrific. And all things being equal, this should be what we're all concentrating on at the moment. This should be what we're all talking about and how we can help. But unfortunately, we're stuck in a world at the moment where, because of all the knobheads who are doing really horrible knobheaded stuff, we need to keep an eye on that more than we need to keep an eye on our fellow humans suffering on the other side of the planet, because we face an existential threat ourselves at the moment. And that seems like really arrogant and really, I don't know, it just seems like an awful, awful place to be. But that's where we are, an awful fucking place. How I finally put insomnia to bed. See what they did there. This is the Daily Tory graph, the tabloid for dickheads who think that they're reading a broadsheet. Ethnic minorities prioritised for bail. Fresh two-tier justice row as courts consider historical trauma when freeing suspects. All right, okay. Sorry, Whitey. You're going to cry. Go on, cry, Whitey, cry. Spring comes into bloom and there's some people enjoying the sunshine at St. James's Park for some reason. And then we got Trump lashes out at Putin over ceasefire delay. Toddler kicked out of nursery for being transphobic. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I guarantee, I've not even read the article. I just know that's not what happened. A toddler was suspended from nursery after being accused of being transphobic or homophobic. Okay. Wow. What a time to be alive. Go back to the papers. Families, 1,100 worse off in April bills. Extra annual household costs are rising under Labour. Tory analysis claims, like Tories. What the Tories? The Tory campaigning for a better Britain. Look at this piece of shit newspaper. Kate reveals Sanctuary of Nature helped her through her health battle. And they've got a picture of her in a field and she's touching a tree. Like I say, different things for different people, but I think the chemotherapy also worked. Deadly quake. Helpers race to Myanmar's aid. Not great. Trump threatens secondary tariffs on Russia oil if no Ukraine truce agreed. Putin delays anger White House. Buyers to face sanctions. Liberation Day looms for trade partners. It's the day that Trump is going to be putting these tariffs on everybody. Everybody's not him. Norway's 1.8 trillion oil fund urged to drop crazy ban on backing defense groups. Norway should drop a rule that is preventing its sovereign wealth fund, the world's biggest, from investing in defense companies such as Boeing, Airbus, Lockheed Martin, and Honeywell. I have no problem with the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world not being able to buy guns and bombs and ammunition and planes and things that kill people. Reeves cutback threatened to tackle. Cutback plans to tackle prison crisis. Okay. And then Starmer warns Trump, don't start a trade war as UK set to face tariffs. Don't start a trade war, you naughty man. And then we've got Harry's charity cover-up. I mean, really, is this the news on like nearly every paper? Like, who gives a fuck? Oh, mate. Anyway, does it make Prince Harry look bad? Yeah, let's put it everywhere. Anyways, I don't know what's happened in that charity. I don't know what went wrong, and I'm not going to pontificate on it, but I just... Maybe it is serious, but I just don't see it as front page news, you know? Music trivia. Richard Chamberlain, RIP, recorded the original version of Close to You, made famous by the Carpenters. Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Wow, that's pretty cool. The IRS says DOGE will have used 500 billion, not billion, by April. DOGE is the waste. Says Kite, Oz Astral, Miss Spock. Let's call you Miss Spock. It's easy for me to say. Hating puds, don't you love it? Let's drop energy prices in summer when no one has heatings on. No one has the heating on. Utter bastards. Yeah, exactly. Richie Goth says, right, folks, back to my assignment. It's due tomorrow at 12 p.m. So let's get cracking. A run for lunch, though. Blessings all. Brilliant. Good stuff, Richie Goth. I'm glad you are keeping healthy and keeping your brain engaged. Billy Kershaw went for a peep at Brusselton Incline yesterday on the original Darlington to Stockton line, the first rail line in the world. Stockton Darlington. Well, the first was it. What's the rule on this? Because they had sort of rails in the mines, didn't they? But this was the first intercity, although not city, so intertown railway, I think. But it was originally horse-drawn, I think. The first purpose-built passenger railway was Liverpool to Manchester through Rainhill. And that's where the oldest train station that's still in operation and still in the same location is actually Broad Green Station in Liverpool, which is such a shitty station. They knocked down the original building and everything to build the M62, and it was replaced with a flat roof piece of shit. And there's no sign, there's no marker in Broad Green Station as you're coming into Liverpool on the, what would you call it? The City Line? The City Line coming into Lime Street. Lime Street wasn't there in the 1830s. It was built afterwards. It was originally the original terminus was in Crown Street and Edge Hill, as in to get off in Edge Hill, which is an expression in the Rogers Profanosaurus if you want to look it up. But Edge Hill actually moved from its original location. It's not where it originally was, whereas Broad Green is where it originally was. And because each station was opened in turn, as the first train started off from Crown Street going to Manchester, it's regarded as Broad Green Station is the oldest passenger station still in use on the old railways. Thank you for telling us that, said no one, Graham. Pete's Music. I remember those, Anne. Didn't think they would catch on. Peter says, Close to You Went nowhere until Karen Carpenter made it #1 with her gorgeous voice. She was great, wasn't she? Yovash says, so you're transphobic and homophobic, you get kicked twice. I don't know, Yovash. It's a bullshit story. It's obviously some kid in a kindergarten who's been spouting some nonsense that they've heard from their parents. Because when you're that age, you just repeat what your parents have said. And they've been transphobic or homophobic, and the teacher's gone, I'm not having that, you know. You can stand outside the classroom for 20 minutes and think about what you'd done. It's madness. Audrey White says, goodbye, everyone, followed by a line of badgers. Okay, right, I'm going to get off now. We're going to come back tonight at 9 o'clock with Stateside. So please join us for that. We've got lots to talk about. I hope you've learned something today about the technocrats. Look it up yourself on Wikipedia about the technocrats and their technocracy that was going to run from Panama to the North Pole. Have a look at that map. Should have probably brought it up on the screen, but you know, it's hard to get everything in place to start these shows every morning at 9 o'clock. But I'll get going now. It should be just in time to catch the adverts before James O'Brien. Thank you so much for watching. If you could do me a huge favor, like I said earlier, give us a like. Go on, give us a little like. Go on, you know you want to. Just give us a like. Also, you know, you can still subscribe if you want, but also even better than that, even if you are subscribed and you're leaving messages in the chat, if you would like a beautiful little rose, like One Angry Pagan's got a green one there, Anne Phillips is there, Martin Harrow's got one, Alistair Kerr. If you would like one of those roses after your name, all you have to do is join the channel, which you can do. You can join the channel. It costs a couple of quid a month, and you get a little rose after your name, which is cool. I think it's cool. Do you think it's cool? I think it's cool. And Timber says, bye everyone, keep speaking the truth. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, I'll see you at 9 o'clock tonight. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.